All right, so get this. You're a UK fintech startup
Yep.
using blockchain to revolutionize international payments.
Sounds pretty cool.
Right, you're on top of the world until, bam,
Oh.
a user in France wants their data deleted under GDPR.
Oh, tricky.
But how do you erase something from an immutable ledger that's distributed across a global network?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's mind-boggling.
For sure.
And that's exactly the kind of head-scratcher we're diving into today.
I'm ready.
Exploring the wild world where GDPR and decentralized technologies collide
Right.
in the post-Brexit UK.
Fascinating stuff. It's like
Yeah.
you have these two seemingly opposing forces, right?
Yeah.
GDPR, focused on individual control and data privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these decentralized systems built on the very idea of transparency and permanence,
Right.
trying to mix oil and water, but with much higher stakes.
Yeah, and it gets even trickier.
Oh, how so?
Brexit threw another wrench in the works,
Oh, right.
creating a unique regulatory landscape for UK companies dabbling in this decentralized domain.
Exactly.
While the UK GDPR largely mirrors the EU's, it has evolved in its own right,
Interesting.
adding another layer of complexity for those working with decentralized systems.
Yeah, so now imagine our UK fintech startup.
Okay.
They're not just juggling GDPR compliance,
No.
but also navigating the UK's specific interpretation
Right?
and how it intersects with data flowing across international borders.
Lots to think about.
So let's say our startup is using a public blockchain for these payments.
Okay.
How do they even begin to figure out who's responsible for data protection?
Yeah?
When a transaction could be hopping between nodes from London to Tokyo to Buenos Aires.
Ah, that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
It all boils down to pinpointing the data controller,
And that is...
the entity responsible for GDPR compliance.
Okay.
In a traditional setup, it's pretty clear-cut, like a company holding your data on their servers.
Right.
But in this decentralized world where data is scattered across a network, things get murky fast.
It's like a compliance nightmare. It definitely presents challenges. That's why understanding the specific setup and governance of the decentralized system is critical.
Okay, so like...
Who has access to what data? How are decisions made about data processing? The answers to these questions can help determine who ultimately wears the data controller hat.
Makes sense. But let's get back to that French user wanting their data erased.
Right.
Seems impossible on the surface.
Yeah.
The blockchain is designed to be this permanent record. How can you erase something that's fundamentally meant to be indelible?
You've hit the nail on the head. That's the core conflict between GDPR's right to be forgotten and the immutable nature of many blockchain systems.
Right.
It's a problem that has sparked some incredibly creative thinking and solutions,
Okay, I'm all ears. What
Yeah.
kind of creator solutions are we talking about?
some of which might seem straight out of science fiction.
Give me that sci-fi magic.
Well, one approach is to move the sensitive data off-chain. Keep only a cryptographic hash of that data on the blockchain itself. Imagine it like a digital fingerprint. You don't need the entire file to verify its authenticity, just the unique fingerprint.
So essentially removing the sensitive personal data, but still maintaining the integrity of the blockchain record.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it's not just about removing the data.
Yeah.
You also need to consider how to verify information without revealing the underlying data itself.
So how does that work? It seems a bit paradoxical.
That's where something called zero-knowledge proofs come into play.
Okay.
Imagine being able to prove you have enough funds for a transaction without revealing your actual bank balance.
Okay.
It's like showing your ID to get into a bar without giving the bouncer your address and social security number.
Ah, I see. Proving you meet the requirements without spilling all the confidential beans.
Yeah, exactly.
Clever. But what about the data that's already on the blockchain? Can you just throw away the keys and call it a day?
You're catching on quickly. Destroying the encryption key that unlocks the data is another effective method. It's like dropping a locked safe into the ocean. The contents are technically still there, but inaccessible without the key.
That's pretty ingenious. So we've got off-chain storage, zero-knowledge proofs, and key destruction. It sounds like a toolbox full of ingenious workarounds.
It's a growing field with lots of clever people working on it.
But I'm guessing it doesn't stop there.
You're right about that. What are you thinking?
What happens when you factor in the global nature of these decentralized networks?
Ah, yes. That adds a whole other layer of complexity. We can't forget that decentralized systems don't respect geographical boundaries.
Right. Our UK fintech startup could be dealing with data bouncing between nodes in countries with completely different data protection laws.
Exactly.
How do they even begin to untangle that web?
It's a valid concern. A UK company using a blockchain could have data flowing through nodes in dozens of countries,
Right.
each with its own set of rules.
Yeah.
So they need to find a way to ensure compliance with the UK GDPR, but also navigate the murky waters of international data transfer regulations.
So it's not enough to just be GDPR compliant within the UK. They need to be thinking globally from the start.
100%. And that's why baking privacy into these systems from the ground up is so crucial.
Okay.
It's not about trying to patch things together as an afterthought,
Right.
but rather incorporating a privacy by design ethos into the very core of the system.
What does that look like in practice?
It starts with minimizing the amount of personal data stored on-chain in the first place. Only collect what's absolutely essential,
Okay.
and then you need to implement robust encryption standards
Mhm.
and design flexible data structures that can accommodate privacy requests without bringing the whole system crashing down.
So building a house with privacy as the foundation rather than trying to add it on as an extension later on.
You got it. And it's not just about the technical aspect.
What else?
You need to establish a clear governance framework for data processing in a decentralized context.
Mm-hmm.
Who's making decisions?
Yep.
Who's accountable? These questions need to be addressed upfront.
So many moving pieces. But luckily, it seems like the tech world is rising to the challenge. What are some of the technical innovations that are emerging to help solve these privacy conundrums?
One area that's generating a lot of buzz is layer 2 solutions.
Yeah.
Imagine them like building a second story on top of an existing blockchain.
Okay.
They can handle personal data in a more privacy-compliant way while still leveraging the security of the underlying blockchain.
So the best of both worlds.
You could say that you get the benefits of decentralization without sacrificing data protection.
Pretty neat.
Right. And then you have private and permission blockchains, which offer even greater control over data access and protection.
How do those work?
In these networks, participants are known and vetted.
Okay.
You have a greater level of trust and control. It's like having a private club with specific rules and regulations.
Interesting.
A good option for organizations that want to leverage blockchain technology while maintaining stricter data governance.
So they're different blockchain flavors.
There you go. It all depends on your needs and priorities.
And then we have smart contracts,
Yes.
which can be programmed to automatically enforce data protection rules.
That's right.
So they're like little digital enforcers.
Yeah, got it. You can build compliance mechanisms right into the code, so certain actions are triggered automatically based on predefined rules.
So it's not just about humans trying to keep up with the regulations. You have the technology itself stepping in to enforce those rules.
Exactly. As this technology matures, we're likely to see even more innovative applications in the realm of data protection.
It sounds like the UK, with its unique post-Brexit regulatory landscape, has a real opportunity to shape the future of decentralized tech and data privacy.
Absolutely. There's a real chance for the UK to develop a regulatory framework that's both forward-looking and robust,
I like that.
setting a global example for how to navigate this new frontier responsibly.
That's exciting. It's like being at the forefront of a technological and legal revolution.
It really is a fascinating time to be involved in this space.
So what are some of the key areas to watch as this landscape continues to evolve?
Well, one area is the development of UK-specific adequacy mechanisms for international data transfers. It's crucial for UK businesses operating in a globalized, decentralized world.
So finding a way to ensure data can flow freely while still being protected.
It's a delicate balance, for sure, and it's an area where innovation is key. The UK has a chance to explore new approaches to data governance in a decentralized world, potentially even moving beyond the traditional model of adequacy decisions.
It sounds like there's a lot of potential for the UK to become a leader in this space, but I'm sure it's not without its challenges.
Of course not. There are still many hurdles to overcome, and the regulatory landscape is constantly shifting.
Yeah.
But the potential benefits of finding the right balance between innovation and data protection are enormous.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today,
We have
exploring the challenges, the solutions, and the exciting possibilities at the intersection of GDPR and decentralized technologies.
absolute.
But there's still much more to unpack, right?
Oh, there's plenty more to discuss.
Okay.
In part 2 of our deep dive, we'll delve even deeper into the evolving regulatory landscape and what it means for businesses and individuals alike.
So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the future of GDPR and decentralized technologies in the UK and beyond.
I'll be here.
Awesome.
Welcome back. One thing that keeps coming up for me is this feeling
What's that?
like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
How so?
Well, the GDPR, right? It was designed for a centralized world
Right.
where data is held by identifiable entities,
Yeah.
and now we're grappling with how to apply those same principles
Okay.
to this decentralized kind of amorphous realm.
It's like we're trying to impose the rules of a chess game onto a game of Go, right?
That's a great analogy. The very nature of the game has changed,
Completely.
and that's forcing us to rethink our traditional approaches to data protection. It's not just about finding technical workarounds.
No.
It's deeper than that.
Hey.
It's about a fundamental shift in thinking,
Okay.
moving beyond simply complying with the letter of the law
Hmm.
and embracing the spirit of data protection.
So less about ticking boxes and more about building systems that inherently respect individual rights from the very foundation.
Exactly. And that's where the UK's unique position post-Brexit gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
They have this incredible opportunity to become a global leader in shaping the regulatory landscape for decentralized technologies.
So let's dive into that. What does that leadership look like? What kind of model could the UK create that balances fostering innovation with upholding data protection principles?
Well, one area where they could really make a mark is in the development of those UK-specific adequacy mechanisms for international data transfers.
The ones we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Figuring out how to ensure that data can flow freely across borders within these decentralized networks without compromising GDPR protections.
Right, because as we discussed, these systems don't respect geographical boundaries, and a transaction could involve data touching multiple jurisdictions with varying
A
regulations.
real headache.
How could the UK approach this challenge differently?
There's a chance to move beyond the traditional model of adequacy decisions,
Okay.
which often involve lengthy assessments and negotiations between countries. They could explore more agile and dynamic approaches that leverage technology to demonstrate compliance in real time.
So instead of relying solely on bureaucratic processes, you could potentially use technology itself to provide those assurances.
Precisely. Think of it like a digital passport for data, carrying verifiable proof of its GDPR compliance as it travels across borders.
Okay.
It's a bold idea, but it's the kind of innovative thinking that could set a new global standard.
That would be a game changer. But what about guidance specifically for blockchain compliance? We've talked about the challenges companies face trying to navigate this complex landscape. What role can regulators play in providing more clarity?
Clear, practical guidance from regulators would be incredibly helpful.
I bet.
Imagine if you had a set of guidelines specifically tailored to blockchain applications, outlining best practices for data protection and
Yep, would
compliance.
be amazing.
It would foster trust, reduce uncertainty, and encourage responsible innovation.
So it's not about stifling innovation with red tape. It's about providing that clear framework within which companies can confidently operate, knowing they're doing things the right way.
Exactly. It's about fostering a collaborative approach where regulators and industry work together to develop solutions that both protect individual rights and promote technological advancement.
It sounds like that kind of collaboration would be crucial, especially in a field as dynamic and rapidly evolving as decentralized technology. What about the technical side of things? We talked earlier about some promising developments like layer 2 solutions and zero knowledge proofs. Are there specific areas where standardization could be beneficial?
Absolutely. Imagine if we had widely accepted technical standards for privacy in decentralized systems.
Okay.
Think of it like having universal charging ports for your devices. It would make compliance much easier and more cost-effective, while also ensuring a consistent level of protection across different platforms and applications.
So it's about creating a common language for privacy in the decentralized world, making it easier for everyone to communicate and operate within the same framework.
You got it. And again, the UK could play a leading role in developing and promoting these standards on a global scale.
I can see why you're excited about the UK's potential in this space, but all this innovation and progress, it feels a bit like we're on the edge of a precipice. Are there any risks we should be mindful of as we venture further into this uncharted territory?
That's a great point. It's crucial to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. As we embrace the transformative potential of decentralized technologies, we need to be vigilant about the potential risks. One concern is the potential for these technologies to exacerbate existing inequalities.
So.
Well, if access to these systems and the benefits they offer becomes concentrated in the hands of a select few, it could widen the gap between the haves and have-nots.
So it's not enough to just focus on the technological innovation. We also need to consider the societal implications and ensure that everyone has a fair chance to participate and benefit from these advancements.
Exactly. We need to think about how we can design these systems in a way that promotes inclusivity and accessibility. We need to consider the needs of vulnerable populations and ensure that they're not left behind.
So it's about finding that balance between pushing the boundaries of what's technologically possible while also ensuring that those advancements serve the greater good and benefit society as a whole.
Absolutely. It's about harnessing the power of these technologies to create a more equitable and just world, not just for the privileged few, but for everyone.
That's a powerful vision. It sounds like we need a shift in mindset, not just among technologists and regulators, but also among individuals.
You're absolutely right. We need to foster a culture of responsible innovation, where everyone feels empowered to ask tough questions, challenge assumptions, and demand that these technologies are used ethically and for the benefit of humanity.
It sounds like we need a healthy dose of skepticism paired with a sense of optimism and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Exactly. This is a journey with both challenges and opportunities, and the path forward will require a collective effort.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the potential pitfalls as well as the exciting possibilities that lie ahead. But I have a feeling this conversation is far from over.
You're right. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore what all of this means for you, the listener. We'll delve into practical steps you can take to navigate this evolving landscape and ensure that you're using these technologies responsibly and protecting your own data.
So stay tuned for part 3, where we'll bring this complex and fascinating world of GDPR and decentralized technologies down to earth and offer actionable insights for navigating this new era. All right, so we've explored the challenges and the innovative solutions and even the potential pitfalls of this decentralized world.
It's a lot to take in.
But now let's get down to brass tacks. How does all of this impact you? Let's say you're not a fintech startup. You're just an average person in the UK trying to navigate this digital landscape. What do you need to know to protect yourself and your data in this decentralized era?
It's a great question, and honestly, one everyone should be asking. The reality is decentralized technologies are already impacting your life in ways you might not even realize.
Give me an example.
Think about cryptocurrency.
Mm.
Even if you've never bought Bitcoin, right? The underlying blockchain technology could be used to verify your identity,
Oh, wow.
track your medical records,
Okay.
or even manage your voting rights in the future.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
It's easy to dismiss these things as abstract tech concepts,
Yeah.
but they have real-world implications for all of us.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding the basics of data protection in this decentralized context is so important.
Couldn't agree more.
So, what are some practical steps people can take to protect themselves?
First and foremost, be mindful of the information you share online. Before you hand over your data to any platform or service, especially those using decentralized technologies, ask yourself, do they really need this information? How will they use it? What are their privacy policies?
So, it's about being a more conscious and informed consumer of these technologies. Don't just blindly click accept on those terms and conditions.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of strong passwords and two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
These basic security measures are even more critical in a decentralized world,
Because.
where data breaches can have far-reaching consequences.
Right, because if the data is out there on a decentralized network, it's not like you can call up a company and ask them to delete it.
You got it. Once it's on the blockchain, it's potentially out there forever. And here's another thing to keep in mind.
Okay.
In a decentralized world, you're often responsible for your own data security.
Wait, so it's not like traditional systems where you're relying on a company to protect your information?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
In many decentralized systems, you hold the keys, literally.
Yeah.
You might have a private key. That unlocks access to your data or digital assets.
Yeah.
If you lose that key, it's gone,
Oh, no.
and there's no central authority to recover it.
So the responsibility shifts from the company to the individual.
In many cases, yes, and that's a big shift.
Mm.
It puts more power in the hands of individuals, but it also increases the potential for error and loss.
It's like the Wild West of data protection. You're on your own out there.
In some ways, yes, and that's why education and awareness are so important. As these technologies become more prevalent, we need to equip people with the knowledge and tools they need to navigate this new landscape safely and responsibly.
So it's not just about understanding the technology itself, but also understanding the implications for our data and our privacy.
Exactly. And remember, this is still a rapidly evolving field. What's considered best practice today might be outdated tomorrow.
So we need to stay informed and adaptable.
100%. Keep learning, ask questions, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. The future of data protection in this decentralized world will be shaped by those who are actively engaged and willing to advocate for their rights.
It's empowering to think that we have a role to play in shaping this future. It's not just something that's happening to us. We can be active participants in shaping the rules of the game.
That's the beauty of decentralized technologies.
Mm-hmm.
They have the potential to give individuals more control over their data and their digital lives.
I like that.
But it's up to us to seize that opportunity and use it wisely.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive,
Like Av.
exploring the complex intersection of GDPR and decentralized technologies in the UK. We've talked about the challenges, the opportunities, and the importance of being informed and proactive.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
Absolutely.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of decentralized technologies is constantly evolving, and the conversation about data protection and privacy will continue to unfold in exciting and unexpected ways.
So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged. The future of your data is in your hands. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.